Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Parker?
Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Director Krokl?
Present.
Director Hanson?
Here.
Director Ballantyne?
Here.
Director Parker?
Here.
Director Allred here, all in attendance. Approval of agenda.
Motion to approve. Second.
We got a motion, we have a second. We don't have to have community.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but
Community comments on the agenda.
we don't do the comments on this one. I'm just making sure.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those disapprove? It's unanimous. All carries. All right, community events. Community announcements.
Good afternoon, board. I have some announcements here for you. Task, just a reminder that the Skilled Adult Center will be having their event on July 3rd. It is open to the public. They will be going around town and posting up flyers and leaving them for the public. They'd like a lot of the public to attend. What they do is they train individuals with disabilities so that they can put them out in the workforce. So that is one event that is coming up on July 3rd. The other is the East Kern Community Backpack Drive. So the CAP office, the CAP K office, and Mojave Air and Spaceport are both drop-off points for this event, sponsored by many of the companies in the East Kern area, looking for backpacks as well as school supplies in the backpacks for everybody. And those will be handed out to the students here in Mojave as well as Cal City and Roseman. So the 3 schools there. For the Far Out event, I've added some pictures. So this was the first time, it's our second event, first international. We had Poland and Canada plus US teams. Lots of students, over 250 in total, that attended the conference as well as going to the FAR site and participated in the launches out there. We did have several of our tenants sponsor this particular item. It was VAST and Impulse and Galactic Company. And with that, one of the teams from Poland were able to reach a height of like 43,000 feet with their rocket. So at the far site, they now are number 9 on the wall that they keep for rockets and their height. So I think our tenant Evolution Space still holds number 1.
You know what the altitude was?
For number 1, they went into lower orbit on that. And from that, they actually got several of their contracts, that their government contracts that they're working on now based on that particular rocket.
And I'd like to personally like to thank you and your husband for all the work you did. And I was glad to see got to see the first and only shot on Saturday morning. And it was truly an experience.
Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I think that it's a good investment for the Mojave Air and Spaceport, and I can see it growing. And,
yes.
One thing I would say is we need more bunkers. I had to stand outside the bunker. It was so packed.
Did you have a helmet on?
No.
Yes.
I thought it was just going to be a real nice takeoff, and I don't need to be in here. It was packed like sardines in the bunker, and I was just standing out about 3 feet outside and a little bit behind it. When that thing took off, I could see why you need a bunker. It was pretty,
Yes, that particular
Exciting.
one that he witnessed was the one that went to 43,000 feet.
yeah.
So it was quite an amazing event. That particular one had video live streamed going up and the recovery of the rocket. Another team, Norco, which is community college, also had cameras on their rocket, but they weren't live streamed. But the website that I put in there, you can still go see a lot of the rockets that were launched, the whole thing. This year, at your guys' request, or the board directors, they did do the live stream. And so along with, thanking the sponsors, the MASP Air and Spaceport, was, they had it ticketing going across the live stream on almost the whole days, several days of launching out there. And then the other item that they kept giving call outs, but at one point, the live stream on a Monday, their last launch day in the morning, they had like about 184, and the farthest one was from Ireland watching our live stream. So I know that we had Ireland and Alaska that I caught right off, where people were giving shout outs from those two locations.
That was pretty neat.
Yeah,
I look
very
forward
good.
to it next year.
Yeah. And then the last item for community announcement is we are starting our fundraising for the Christmas tree event. So the chips, the CHP Chips for Kids and Christmas tree giveaway. So we're doing a Pampered Chef party. It's a virtual one. Links on there if you want to participate on Facebook, or if you want to just order virtual catalog, it is there. But between us and the CHP volunteers, both divisions have started working on fundraising for the event in the month of June to prepare for December. And that's it. Any?
The Air Force Association has asked if they could support again this year.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. I was going to reach out. I'm getting my volunteer list all prepared for how many volunteers we'll need and things like that, but always looking for volunteers to decorate Christmas trees and all that good stuff.
Thanks, Lynn. Oh. Any other community announcements? Okay, consent agenda.
I'll motion to approve items A and B.
You have a second?
Second.
Second by Jimmy. Any community comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. There are no action items for Director of Facilities.
Good afternoon, directors. I have the final round of our introductions to our facility staff here with me today. Logan Altman on the right, Elijah Gutierrez on the left. Elijah's been with us since January of 2020. Logan's been with us since he just had a 6-year anniversary June of 2019. Prior to coming to work for the district here, Logan worked with the Mojave School District for 3 years. Elijah was a commercial electrician with various companies for about 7 years. Both of these guys do a lot of our airfield maintenance in general. They're phenomenal equipment operators. They do pavement repairs. They do marking, welding, fabrication, pretty much anything needs to be done. But a big function of what they do is they are our airfield electricians and our electricians in general throughout the facility. Both hold from ADB an airfield ground lighting certified airport professional certificate, an advanced airfield technician certificate, and a certified design professional certificate. And Logan also holds an AAAE airfield lighting maintenance designation, the ACE from AAAE. So they've completed every airfield lighting and electrical certification that I've been able to find domestically, without sending them to, where did you want to go? The Netherlands? Germany?
Congratulations, gentlemen.
I would point out that they actually more than just work on the airfield on the lighting, they manage it. I will call and ask them what they're doing. And so every Thursday is airfield day, and whatever else they're doing throughout the week on Thursdays, they go out and do airfield repairs. One Thursday a month, they do the alignment of the PAPIs. And then the other 3 Thursdays, it's whatever needs to be done out there. And I don't assign those.
Was that not something we had to outsource in the past?
It is something we've outsourced.
Now we're able to do it in-house?
I don't call contractors for airfield electrical, only as a last resort.
Okay, these gentlemen are qualified.
These gentlemen are qualified, and they
for a timely matter. It's
when I came to the airport 7 years ago, we had no clue. I had no clue. We were outsourcing. There was one gentleman that has since retired that kept everything in his head and didn't write anything down, and he knew where all the skeletons were buried, and we didn't. We still don't know where all of them are buried, but they've uncovered a lot of them. So we had no choice when he retired, that we had to either get smarter or we had to call somebody, and I don't like that, so we got smarter. We rarely call anyone anymore.
and this is figuratively that they're speaking about skeletons.
Oh, yes.
But as I was saying, they manage. When I call and say, well, what are you working on in the airfield today? They will identify deficiencies. And 2 weeks ago, they were out pulling wire. They'll rebuild sign markers. We have repulled the real circuit on 1230. They're really, if there is a contractor here, when we have our AIP projects, they're side by side with them because they know where things are. They're observing, they're helping, they're answering questions. They're involved so that when the contractor leaves, we know what they buried. So it's they've done a phenomenal job. And
Forget what they call it when before figuratively the skeletons were buried. We didn't know it was all in somebody's head, but since then we have what do they call that map where we as-builts.
So we do have as-builts of
The GIS.
The GIS. So
we don't have all of the circuit routing and all of the assets in the GIS, but that's something that we are working on now that we do have as-built. And a lot of that information comes from them. A lot of it comes from Mead and Hunt. When we do like Charlie and Alpha, those diagrams are now with GDMS so that they can be put in the GIS. That is one of our goals in the next few years, is to make sure that the next generation doesn't have the problem that we had.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So that is what I had for this week. And again, Logan and Elijah.
Thanks, Floyd.
Thank you.
Gentlemen.
You're not going to give a speech?
Oh, actually, that's a requirement. Sorry. Good to meet you.
Director of Operations.
Thank you, Floyd. Gentlemen?
Good afternoon. For our operations accounts, we did see a decrease in operations of 439. Of course, wind's a big factor, and for our military ops, we're still battling the government cutbacks on military training and outside of air-based training. So we did see a significant drop in our military operations. It seems in June we're starting to see those numbers pick back up, so we're hoping it's just a temporary lull. We had 2 major incidents in the past couple weeks. So I'll touch briefly on those. On May 30th, 2025, we had the Zodiac explosion. Zodiac was our lunar lander test vehicle. She's been here for 10 years, was originally a mast in design. Excellent vehicle, had 176 flights. Fortunately, they lost pressurization and the aircraft self-terminated. And during the self-termination, they had an anomaly and the vehicle crashed and was completely destroyed. We are quite sad losing Zodiac, but we have all faith that Astrobotic is rebuilding bigger and better, whether it be another Zodiac or another project that they're working on here at the spaceport. So that was a sad one, but we do want to at least take a moment to celebrate. 176 flights for a test rocket is phenomenal and it's unheard of. So we do want to take a moment to celebrate Masted and Astrobotic for building such a phenomenal vehicle. On June 7th, let me pause. Did anybody have any questions about Zodiac? Okay. Another thing with that incident as well is, we spent a lot of money, and Carrie, I can feel the look already. I'm usually in Carrie's office. Hey, I need 10 more thousand. I need 10 more thousand. The explosion from Zodiac was substantial. We had COPVs, which are overwrap pressurization vehicles. They hold whichever propellant or oxidizer that is designated for the vehicle. Under an incredible amount of pressure for this vehicle is 3,500 PSI. We found one of them 1,100 feet away from the crash, so almost a quarter mile. When we do these explosive site plans, and I've been working on this one for about a year now, and we are tenacious and they are expensive and we are going through it, incidents like this emphasize why it is so important to have those, why it is so important to have those interline building distances that we set in, roadblocks, mass notification. I'm sure the people behind me are very tired of all of the notifications, but they are very important. Nobody was injured. There was no damage except to the vehicle itself and its test pad. Everybody was safe. So that is why we put so much into that. It is Mojave. It is test platforms. Things do go wrong, but we put these standards in place, spent a lot of Carrie's money. And we do it for a reason. And we were very grateful to see the system work during this explosion. Okay. Any questions on Zodiac or that incident? Okay. Speaking of another incident, we had on June 7th, a sport cruiser was visiting us as a pilot was on his third solo, came into Mojave, landed runway 12, wind was 215 at 14. I will let you do the math on that one, and somehow ended up north of the runway. Of course, the investigation is still ongoing, so I cannot say with definitives, but we do think that wind was a contributor. When he came in, wind was 190 at 4, gust 6. On his third touch and go, which was his accident touch and go, wind was 215 at 14, gust 26. And he landed runway 12. We do feel that wind was a factor, coupled with his inexperience in that aircraft, being on his third solo.
It's a light sport, right?
Yes, the light sport.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. He landed 12, lost control of the aircraft, gave more work to Floyd and his team as he took out one of our hold position sign. I don't think took out's the right word. I think it disintegrated is probably a good word for it. It clipped a distance remaining marker, really threaded the needle between two PAPBs, ended up about 1,000 feet from his touchdown point, nose down. At some point did a bit of a cartwheel. Pilot was completely uninjured. So unfortunately the plane, not the same story. The plane may need a couple of repairs, as the engine was 12 feet behind the tail of the aircraft when it came to rest. But fortunately, the pilot was okay. So that morning, however, for some good news, we did have our Cal State UAS competition. We had 6 teams. It was originally 13. As we got closer to the deadline, more teams fell out. We're not able to meet the deadline. We did have about 100 students here. Northrop Grumman was very gracious to set up a table, as well as provide a recruiter to discuss the opportunities here at Mojave Air and Spaceport, as well as at Northrop Grumman. And Virgin Galactic was very kind to donate water. I will say the majority of which definitely got used that day. It was a great day of flying, much more success than we had last year. We had teams as far as Cornell University in New York and Bombay, India. So very, very excited to host that. And we're already making our plans for next year.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ariel.
Was a long day for security and for Ariel. Thank you.
You say the engine was outside the aircraft?
12 feet behind the aircraft.
All right, Chief Executive Officer.
Lady and gentlemen of the board, a real pleasure to be here with you all, and I'm very happy to be delivering our draft strategic plan to all of you. I'd ask, there's no real formal go-tos in here. There's a few things I would like to call out to you for your review. This is a draft strategic plan. I think it's important to understand kind of the background philosophy there. I actually would prefer the title action plan, the strategic plan. This is our target area. So what we did, all the directors and myself got together for a team building dinner up in Tehachapi. And then at the generosity of Palmdale Regional Medical Center, went down there the following day and were there all day in their executive suites with a DOD Lean Six Sigma black belt that also donated his time just for a resume filler and walked us through a deliberate process using innovative management tools in getting forward what it is we want to get after. What are these key points that we want to focus on? Mm-hmm. Everything is frangible. It is not all inclusive. Guys like Floyd have that tactical world they have to address every day, and you just heard it from Ariel, right? You know, so we got things we want to target and get after, and you know what? Life happens, and plumbing breaks, and we divert resources. But this gives us that core background. A couple of things that are worth mentioning. The motto of permission granted is entirely stolen from Stu, but I think it's rock solid. And that's just our crystallizing point. And we want to get to permission granted for all our customers, all our teammates. The vision, be the world's recognized commercial center of excellence for aerospace test and development. What way we came up with these, by the way, is this was a true consensus document. This was no one person. It's not directed by me or anyone else. The team came up with this, and we got to a point where everybody in the room was willing to have their heads going up and down, going, yep, I can live with that. Mm-hmm. And then the mission statement, provide a unique space for the design, test, and launch of groundbreaking technologies as the world's premier civilian aerospace test center.
I got a question. Are you suggesting we replace that statement with this?
So we could either replace it or we could make them complementary.
Because what I just briefly looked at was seeking compatible, diverse businesses and industries. Mm-hmm. It seems like we're just focusing on space development here.
Well, aerospace is
which we're more than that.
We are. I would offer, from my perspective, that is our core business element.
Okay.
So what's our mission? This is our core mission. And you know what? We might be doing rail support. Right. And other things as well. But if I ask myself, what is Mojave Air and Spaceport, and the directors and consortium, we are an air and spaceport.
That's right.
Now, like I said, this is far from directive. That's why we're presenting it to the board, and it's a draft.
Yeah.
Right. But this is what the directors all came up with.
Yeah. The board came up with that one. Along with council, and I'm not arguing as far as maybe updating it. to me, it's a little more inclusive than this one. And, but maybe it can be massaged together and stuff. What, okay, that's fine, I get it.
But I'd like to just leave that all with you for, for feedback. Take a look at it. And I think there's been considerable work that went into this. And after, I'll call him our consultant, had finished up his initial draft, huge compliments to Ariel, who really dissected that and brought it home. And then it went out to all the staff for all the directors on their comments to work on.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, Nicole went ahead and then scrubbed it and put a bow on the end of it. So it's been a heck of a team process that I'm actually very proud of where the team has gone. And that relates to another thing we're going to be doing here, and that's the fourth line, quarterly field trip for directors. So in the annual feedbacks that I had with my direct reports, the dinner we had the night before the strategic planning effort was mentioned by all of them as something they would like to replicate maybe on a quarterly basis, but probably not a dinner, as that impacts family. So what we're going to be doing is a quarterly, you can call it I call it a professional development event. It's basically a field trip. The first ones be scheduled for when I'm on leave next week, but when I get back from leave, we'll go down to Plant 42, get an immersion in Plant 42, and then we'll go have lunch as a team and then distribute back to work. And we'll do those once a quarter. The hope is the next quarter out, probably do that at Inukurn, which is a special district as well. So there's some real corollaries there that we can learn from, and do something that impacts our ability to grow our business enterprise and makes us all smarter and more focused as we move forward, and gives us a team building opportunity. We'll have lunch. So that's something that we're just doing internally to keep the staff moving forward at a high rate of effectiveness.
And who attends these quarterly functions?
The directors and myself. So we keep
Not
the
us.
group small.
Say that again, Jim.
By the way, yes, my directors, not the board of
Gotcha.
directors.
Yeah.
Yes.
And who are they?
Who are they? Oh, you got half of them in the room right now.
Yay.
Terry, Ariel, Harold, Floyd, and then Chris and Jason.
Does it not
Fabulous.
seem significant that you include your board of directors? I'm going back to basically we set policy and approve leases,
Mhm.
hire and fire. To me, I just feel a little left out of the process.
So the intent behind this particular process is to develop staff and to grow staff. I don't have any issue with including the board. Once we do, though, we wind up with Brown Act interfaces and things like that we have to be able to address.
You couldn't take any more than two.
Yeah, this is more a staff building.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for clarity in.
Right, it's a staff building.
Because I realize ultimately we're gonna be the authority.
So generally, of course, staff comes up with the strategic plan,
Mm-hmm.
because they present it to the board and the board blesses it. Right, they will present to you the strategic plan, based on their work.
Okay.
As the executive team at the airport.
Yeah. And that's good. And I think it's important that board has input in it.
Sure. And that's why I want to emphasize this is a
Right.
draft copy.
Okay.
So, and we're not going to dissect this all today, but it's something you can take back with you, review, and then ink all over it. And everything's tangible, right? But this is a document that the board came up cohesively with, not the board, the directors
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
on the staff. at Mojave.
Staff.
I know, staff.
Right.
I would be more comfortable with that, only
Staff directors.
it defines it, especially to maybe the audience who's
Absolutely.
thinking we're directors, but there's other directors that are not elected.
So my direct reports, we call directors. and there's 6 of them that run the functional areas. By the way, I think that it's amazing how well and cohesively they are continuing to work together.
Oh, yeah.
There's too much chaos here to have Floyd being the only person that understands facilities and Kerry being the only person that understands ops. So the hand in glove operation and the capabilities to step outside the box is a growth enterprise, and it's improving every day.
But the idea of going like to Plant 42 and Inyokern and really getting to know your neighbors, of course you know them, and we've all lived here forever, but to actually meet the people is really, really important, I think, and beneficial to the spaceport. I think it's a great idea.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And of course, if we find that this becomes a non-value added exercise, we'll walk away from it.
Well, sure.
Right? But I don't expect that.
No, I don't
think,
either.
I think
It's
getting
not-
out there
no,
quarterly.
Definitely. Yeah, just some clarity and
Sure,
terminology.
absolutely. I'll touch briefly on a couple other things and then have a couple of walk-ons just for the board's awareness. Attended the Space Tech Expo down in Long Beach. Good because extremely low cost, extremely high visibility. I'm debating whether we will play in that next year. The vast majority of the exposure at Space Tech was on sub components and processes for aerospace systems. Now, there was valuable stuff there, and it was really that, call it the C-suite integration. It wasn't the looking in a booth going, hey, that's the coolest pressurized system I've ever seen. No, it was getting together afterwards with that general manager, that CEO, and having those sidebars and being able to talk the story about where is it you are testing these capabilities. We have an avenue for you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully that will drive some increased awareness in business. Very similar with the AAAE conference, valuable down in Atlanta, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking at doing a little more broadening with AAAE. You heard earlier that we have some certifications for some of our people who really do the work here from AAAE. So we're going to capitalize on where we can capitalize on that, especially resources available. They have already reached out. We talked briefly yesterday. They'd like me to go to the General Aviation Conference and chair a panel there about airports. And we're going to do that and continue the exposure of Mojave and understanding that we're just not an RDT&E facility. We're a general aviation airport.
Mm-hmm.
Can't lose sight on that.
Can you give me a little insight under technology? I don't have a page number. Upgrade dynamics to cloud, replace CMMS, implement laser, whatever.
Yeah, so updating the dynamics. Currently, right now, our dynamics is on a server. And
Is
that,
that a programming one?
yeah,
Okay.
yep. So that's our day-to-day operating
Okay.
system that we use, and it's outdated. So we are right now in the process of transitioning to the cloud, which we couldn't do our 1099 forms. We have to make the transition. And that was approved actually in last year's budget. We're right now in the middle of the transition. So that's
That's helping with your audit process and everything too as well.
it
right?
will once we kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so that's dynamics. And then the Laserfish is our paperless program, which we've had in place for
Okay.
probably 13, 14 years. And that's just improving. We kind of always had it on the back end, but actually putting it to use. And
How's it used? I mean, you said
all of our leases are in it. And
Okay,
so
okay.
it's all of our leases are in it to be able to make them searchable. But making it, we have not used it to its fullest ability. So we're put it more into where more users are going to use it. We actually use it to
Okay.
its full capacity, or more than what we're using it now, since we have it.
So any legal documents can be,
Any documents can go in.
Any
Any documents can go to that Laserfish.
that could be handy.
Yep. So we have like our certificate of insurance is in there. Our leases are in there right now. So that's kind of where that's our focus right now, is putting our leases in there. Our leases are currently in there, and our certificate of insurances are in there.
Right now, we have it to where it automatically sends out notifications to our tenants when their certificate of insurances are expiring
Okay.
and to
I
renew.
wondered how you guys kept track.
So currently, that's what we're doing. And then this year, we're going to implement a couple processes for when leases are canceling. So automatically, they kind of come out, and so
There's
streamlining
some
a little
other
bit.
things tied to leases that we can probably, first right of refusal.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, no,
Yeah.
okay.
So we're trying to utilize the programs that we have and use our services that we, to where they can streamline, make it to where it automatically does things that some things we're doing manually,
Yeah.
to where the program can do it.
How do you get the training for that?
So you could go to workshops, but we also have our provider that we use, Synopsys, to where they can do the training for us. But some of the workflows that they set up through Laserfish, they'll set up for us, and then it automatically kind of does it, and they'll do the training for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No, totally fine. I appreciate the answer.
Thank you, Brady.
Good wingman.
Yeah.
So AAA conference, I mentioned, the 2 walk-ons, just for your exposure, not for decision-making, they weren't on the agenda. There's an aerospace consortium being set up in Southern California by a company called Melrose out of Hollywood. They're having a kickoff event mid-July. They've asked me to keynote that. I'll go down for the kickoff. More importantly, they want Mojave to be part of this consortium. It's right now about 120 aerospace firms from small to large in Southern California. Several of our mission partners are already members of this consortium. I do not believe there is any cost associated with this. If there is, then we'll look at it objectively as a business case. But my understanding is it's simply a consortium of like-minded people to further the interests of aerospace across Southern California. I'm good with that. So one of the things they have asked, and we will come back to the board with a resolution, assuming we move forward at the right time. I'm not asking for a decision at this point, is come November, they've got a series of DoD contracts coming forward. They'd like the consortium to come out here, use the Stu Center, and do a 2-day, what's called sprint. Sprint's a agile project management technique where you break into small groups with diverse expertise and you attack individual problems. So the idea is they will break out into these diverse aerospace groups and attack each one of these DoD initiatives to see what sort of contract applicability they can get. My hope and desire is with this increased exposure to all these firms, we continue to market effectively Mojave Air and Spaceport and see about having less of our 3,300 acres available. See some new partners out there on our flight line and our property in general. And also as an answer to a question from the board yesterday, yes, we are ready if we have fallout FAA dollars. What would go first forward is the taxiway B reconstruction effort. And then I brought a copy. Yes.
Taxiway B
Right.
reconstruction,
Well, an improvement effort.
extension. Okay, I know what B is. Oh,
You
oh,
get
yeah.
probably the additional, right?
Well,
Yeah, we need to know. Is this phase 3? I mean, that's what we called it.
so
I thought we were
Ariel,
going after A.
Well, A is already
It's-
underway.
it's
Taxiway A rehab's already, that's.
Okay,
like
so
pretty
this
much-
is just to add another piece of asphalt.
so this is the same shovel-ready project that we have applied for a grant for. And if this were to not go, I'll defer to Floyd.
Yeah, let Floyd's pipe for me.
I believe what Dr. Smith is referring to is the Bravo extension. When we executed the Bravo extension in 2019, we didn't get the full funding. We never actually
Right.
finished the entire extension.
We had
So
3
if there were,
phases.
yeah, so it would be phase 3 of the extension,
Okay, that's,
not a reconstruction.
no, okay, yeah, so, I've been here a long time.
Yeah.
The verbiage, my apologies.
Okay,
So bottom line, what's important to know is, yes, we are ready with backup if we get fallout money from FAA at the end of the year. And we also have the balance of our ASIP programs coming forward. Now, those are not technically shovel-ready projects, but with excess dollars, if there are fallouts, we can accelerate those forward and move those
That's
to.
gonna be my next question, is what is the next one that will be shovel ready if we get this funding, and how soon will it be ready?
Right. I don't expect, I do expect fallout monies, but I expect the fallout monies to not exceed what we would like to do with Bravo, and that is shovel ready.
and you think that is the best, extending something where we don't have anything there, I think the FAA may want to say, well, what are you gonna do with it? We've already built it out some, and who's
It
using it?
makes it more attractive for the people that want to come in and build.
Right, I think it's an asset. My question is there something better for
So,
us that the FAA might be more likely, that, of course, within a reasonable price range?
right, this is what we have that's shovel ready.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
So if it were
I was
fallout
familiar with
dollars
that.
and we need to move
so that's our
now,
focus, okay,
this one we can turn key on now.
okay.
Rather
Okay.
than turn away funds.
Right.
Gotcha.
If it, okay,
Field of dreams, man. Build it, they will come.
well, actually, we did that for years, and finally,
Right.
okay.
And subject to your questions. Thank you.
I'm good. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because I'd like to see B start being developed, but having that extend out there, I think, gives it more attractiveness, like Kathy says, to potential.
Do we have the rest of the infrastructure in place for B to develop that area if somebody wants to put in a 60,000 square foot hangar or something? Water power close by?
Yes.
On the north side of B?
Water and, no, everything is on the south side.
That's right. So if you wanted something on the north side,
Would we have to cut through that taxiway to put it over there, or would it go around?
No, I'm sorry. Water comes from the north side of Bravo, crosses under, at the Bravo and Bravo extension, transfers to the south side of, Edison also has assets on both north and south side of.
okay, so there is power, water, and sewer.
I apologize. I think I
If
misunderstood.
you
the
recall,
question.
we had a individual who was looking at a hangar development off Bravo,
Mhm.
and that Bravo would have then been the access to the tarmac, the third flight line. And that had all the utilities they needed in place
Right.
for that.
You'd made a trip down to one of the airports down south that's potentially going to close. But
Yes.
You had a dealer down there that might be interested in moving. My opinion, if that was extended all the way out, it provides better public access, a visual, probably better wind protection for those type of aircraft. Okay, I'm just thinking kind of out loud.
Absolutely.
What we can,
And by the way, since you do bring it up, I planned on later, actually next month, July, getting back down to Santa Monica and walking it again. It's important. I also understand 2 other airports in Southern California are being looked at for closure. And I want to do the same thing there.
That's
Get our
terrible.
foot in the door early. So they are not as large as Santa Monica. But nonetheless, there are interests that we might be able to reach our hand out and help continue to grow the aerospace enterprise in California, while frankly improving our rental income.
Just
Yeah.
remember, Santa Monica's full of cars.
It is it is a very interesting business consortium there. Much more non-aerospace Santa Monica. There's insurance dealerships, there's acting studios, there's a little of everything. But when you find the couple of gyms, the FBOs, the Cirrus dealer, these guys are
GA versus encroachment.
right.
acting studio, that's not.
That's sad.
No, I mean, that's great because GA is kind of
It was
at
Clover
a
Field.
stagnation. Maybe that's not a too strong of a word, but developing more GA in some areas, where that's how we get our funding.
It'd be great, right?
That's true.
Are we good, Mr. Valentine?
I don't know. I've got a lot of words. I used to ask my little daughter, how can so many words come out of such a little mouth? Yeah.
Right.
So, and I don't mean to interrupt this, but these are,
No, it's fine.
you said you'd bring that back, and you did, and I appreciate it. So.
We board committees. We don't have any. No directors' comments. Do we have any?
I do.
Okay.
Former board member Bill Deaver passed away on May 30th, and his graveside services will be at the Mojave Cemetery on the 24th of this month. That's a Tuesday. And then afterwards, we'll have a get-together at the Stewart Center.
What time is that?
The service is at 11 at the cemetery. So afterwards, we'll just come over to the Witt Center and get together and have a little lunch. But it's, he was 89, and he came to Mojave when he was 12 or 14. It was 1948. And he said they lived in White's Motel for almost a year, the whole family. And then they bought a house on M Street, which was the house that's farthest south on M Street across from the Vets building. It later became a church. He always called it the Church of Deaver. I thought that was funny. But he just did so many things in this community besides serving on this board. And he was the driving force to get the overpass over the railroad at Oak Creek. And, but he was active in the chamber and started a town council, and he was always stirring things up, kind of Mr. Mojave. So he definitely will be missed.
Mhm.
And then Plain Crazy is this Saturday. And our speaker is going to be, he was a crew chief on SR-71, so he's going to talk about SR-71s and U-2s. And I've already got reservations for, I think I have 2 seats left. So it's going to be well attended. So that's all I have.
Anyone else? All right, this time we're going to move into closed session. Thank you. Well, you guys can return when we.
This is fabulous. So much work in this. This is fabulous.
Well, many hands make light work.
Yeah, I know, but